In this episode of Mighty Car Mods, our Golf Supercar project continues.
So it's another beautiful day down here at Hills Euro House where the build of this ridiculous Stage 99, not Stage, Golf R continues. Now, yesterday, of course, we got the brakes completely finished. The turbo is on there. Today, we're doing the fuel pumps. That's a big one. We're doing the exhaust. We're doing the intake. We're doing the front mount intercooler. We're doing the wheels. And at the end of today, it'll be finished. Yesterday, we spent about 7 or 8 hours on the car. There'll be another 7 or 8 hours today. But the next thing that's going on is the exhaust. Then the subframe can go back on. And then underneath there is looking absolutely snazzy as jazz. And then we're going to be taking the front off for the front mount. That's going to be a big one. But at the end of today, the car will be all ready for its tune. So it's going to be doing the Revo Flash tune and a TCU tune. It's going to be epic. So let's get to it. But the first step is the exhaust. So I'm going to show you what we're doing over here with the stock system versus our aftermarket system. So come with me and have a look. So this is our performance exhaust system that's going on. This is a Miltech system. We can do a quick comparison between the OEM system and this one here. You can see, first of all, here we've got a high flow cat compared to the more restrictive one that comes on the car. Going down here, we've got 3-inch pipe instead of 2.5-inch pipe. Now, this here is the center muffler. Now, this one here is just going straight across like this, as opposed to the OEM resonator center muffler, which is like a game of snakes and ladders in here. Now, when you do go down to the exhaust shop and ask for a resonator delete, so your car farts more, that is the bit that they're cutting out, which is the center muffler. Now, going down here, we go down into the main system at the back here. 4 tips, same as what the factory system has. We're going to get these little motors here that control the baffles and the valves in the back. They're going to be transferred over. Again, the pipe just goes straight here into the tips, whereas on this side, you've got a game of super duper snakes and ladders as it baffles its way out. So that there is going to make sure that we're breathing properly, and we're going to get some extra awesome Volkswagen noises. So we're going to put that on now, then the subframe can go back on, and then I do believe that underneath the car, I think we're good, because the fuel pumps and stuff we're going to access from the top. Correct? Correct. Yes. All right. Excellent. So exhaust goes on, and we're ready for those epic DSG Volkswagen noises.
The first thing to go on is our aftermarket dump pipe, which is going to unlock some solid gains in itself. And then I'm removing the factory exhaust motors and transferring them over to the Miltech mufflers. These control internal baffles that can open or close based on what driving mode the car is in. Some people remove these and run a full non-resonated system, but that doesn't really fit with the sleeper vibe that I'm going for. So keeping them means that there are some options and flexibility in how the car sounds and how loud it is. Doing this, we can also dummy up the rest of the system and leave it loose until it's all in position. Next up, I'm swapping over the factory exhaust hangers, then the tips come off and we'll be reinstalling them later on. With that, the exhaust is done and it is properly bolt on. Now we can get an update on what's going on down the front of the car.
Mounted up the downpipe, secured onto the block pretty much. Put the shaft in, heat shields in. What we'll do next is we'll put the subframe in, bolt up the dog bone mount, and then that way we can have the correct position to bolt up the rest of the exhaust.
Awesome. Yeah. And then obviously once that's done, then we can tighten up all the clamps.
Yeah.
It's just in position at the moment.
That's it, that's correct. All right, pretty much. And yeah, she'll be good.
It's quite strange but comforting, this Volkswagen handshake, isn't it?
Yeah, no, well, it's all right. Yeah.
You guys are
comforting.
obviously way more comfortable with it than I. Like, I haven't done it before.
It's a bonding experience.
It is.
After the second go, you'll get there.
With that much more power, there's going to be a drastic amount of engine movement as the car tries to get that power down to the ground. Now, the OEM engine mounts are obviously designed to bias towards comfort, but now we're actually after acceleration, and the OEM units are not going to do a great job of getting all of that power down to the ground and handling axle hop and torque. So as such, we're replacing the mounts with these Revo mount kit here. So in here we've got an engine mount, we've got a transmission mount, and we've got a subframe mount, and this here is going to improve the car's ability to get all of that extra power actually down onto the ground to give the car the traction it needs to blast off some supercar performance. Munching power.
These engine mounts are designed to drastically improve traction and acceleration by minimising engine movement. Using Powerflex bushings, the mounts are machined from billet aluminium and retain OEM fitment. The first mount we're doing is the torque mount, arguably one of the most important to minimise engine movement. This can be installed while the subframe's on the car, but because it's already off, we can do it on the bench using the included removal tool. The other mounts will be installed later in the day, but for now, with our new mount in, the subframe can be reinstalled back on the car. Our new torque mount, steering rack and subframe are back on the car, so now we can clean up the brakes and fit our new wheels. So far, everything actually has bolted on, which is quite incredible, and while it's different to our normal projects, what I can say is that it's really quick to get mods done when they actually fit.
Now it's come to a very exciting time in the build because it's time to fit up the wheels on the car and see how they fit. These are the Revo RVO 19 rims that are made by Rimstock. They're a 10-spoke, lightweight wheel. They're wrapped in Bridgestone Adrenaline RE003s. These are a lightweight wheel, but they're also made to clear the big brake kit, which a lot of other wheels don't. So it's time to actually go and see if it does clear the brake kit, which it's meant to, which I hope it does. And also just check the fitment, just see how it works, see how it looks. Grab one of these bad boys, and we're definitely clearing brakes. It's a good start.
A big brake kit like this means you need big wheels. Now, a lot of Golf owners use spacers on their factory rims to try and space it out to make room for their brakes. But with these wheels, no spacers are required. They clear the brakes and also have a more aggressive offset to help fill out the guards for a subtle but noticeably tougher stance. On our lowered springs, it should look freaking awesome. The wheels weigh around 10 kilos each, making them one of the lightest 19 by 8.5 cast wheels you can get, and they've got a look that's really reminiscent of the VW Pretoria black wheels, which will keep with our sleeper status. With all the wheels done, now I can bring it down off the hoist and torque them up. Next up, we're moving on to the front mount intercooler and the fuel pumps.
All right, so the back seat's coming out so we can access the fuel pump. And here we have, again, one of the mysteries of this car. There is some substantial automotive archaeology back here. There's quite a bit of coins, there's just hair, there's fur, there's a very, very piece of stale Pringle. Oh, that's spicy, that one. But we do have a bit of a refund here. $2.50, $2.70. There's a, I don't know what that is, some kind of collectible kids thing. There is so much stuff under here. There's a ring with a skull on it, but Over on this side, there's even more money and there's more Lego. But what's interesting about this is that it's completely solidified, possibly by whatever that was, which is, I do believe, is some kind of mint lolly. I'm going to need a tool to scrape this out because the money and the Lego is so jammed in there with hard goo that I just can't get it out. So I'm going to go and have to get a flathead or something and scrape all of this out. And then we can access the fuel pump. That's why we're here. That's right. Just remembered.
If you haven't had a look under your backseat for a while, I would go out and have a look and see exactly what is under there. It's a bit of a mystery as to what all this stuff is, but it's very hairy and very sticky. On closer inspection with the nose holes, it has the distinct smell of teriyaki chicken and sweet and sour sauce. I'm pretty stoked with my $6.50 refund, but it is so sticky and grot that now I really wish I was wearing my special Volkswagen gloves. My hands now smell like a teriyaki donkey that's been mating with a sweet and sour octopus, and I literally cannot work out what this stuff is. But with everything finally cleaned out, now we can remove the front bar and get into upgrading the fuel pumps. Here's a quick tip. If you know you're changing your fuel pump, don't fill your car up with petrol first. A bigger turbo and more boost means we need more fuel. An upgraded high-flow fuel pump is going in the back, and we're modifying the high-pressure fuel pump up the front with this aftermarket high-volume internal plunger, which offers around 5% increase in horsepower and torque, as well as delivering all the fuel that we're going to need. While we swap over our new aftermarket fuel pump into the factory hangar, the front of the car continues to come apart, getting ready for our upgraded front mount intercooler. Once the fuel pump has been upgraded, the whole unit can then be installed back in the car. And that's it, the factory front mount intercooler is out. While we're swapping out the intercooler, we're also replacing the restrictive factory charge pipe and throttle pipe for better flowing units. These have a larger internal diameter and fewer restrictions, so the turbo can operate as efficiently as possible. And cooling it all down will be our upgraded front mount intercooler.
So this here is the OEM intercooler, and that was a huge job to get out. Not that we would know, because our friend Paul over there took it out, but that took a lot of time. Thank you very much, mate. It's actually pretty big. I mean, there's plastic ends on it, which I don't know, could be some consideration if you're running high boost, but it's actually a pretty decently sized cooler, right?
Yeah, definitely. For a factory cooler, it is quite large.
But we are going to be replacing it. Can you take that one? Let's have a quick listen first. Right, so we're going from that to the Revo cooler. Look at this. Cast end tanks, big and more metal, as you can tell. What can you tell me about this, man?
Yeah, basically, as you said, look, it's got cast end tanks, which is heaps better than plastic, stops them from blowing out. It's about 50% bigger, so...
You can see how much thicker it is, actually. If I grab this one...
a massive difference.
And just... Yeah, have a look at the size difference even on this end here.
Even on the sides, like it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
Look, generally across the board as well, we're getting about 35 degrees cooler air coming out the hot side.
Yep.
Pretty much regardless of conditions.
Yep.
Like it's just a well-built intercooler.
Yeah,
and it makes the world of difference as well, because Obviously, if you're doing dyno pulls or dragging it or whatever, it's going to heat soak.
Yep.
And this is just probably the best way to get rid of that.
Yeah, cool. I like how it's also black for the extra
That's
performance. We know about
Nice
that.
and soft.
And of course, complementing that, we're doing the intercooler piping kit as well. Bigger pipe, more air, more bang,
Definitely.
more fast.
More fastness. That's what we want.
Cool. So is that good to go in now?
Literally, man, like the rest of this car, is actually bolt-on.
Which is weird because everything actually has been bolt-on. And
has
normally in the 11 years, Martin, I've been doing this show, nothing is bolted on.
No, you've been doing it the wrong way, that's why. You haven't been doing Euros.
Oh, here we go. Oh, the comment section just came alive. My Supra, my MR2.
That's it.
So let's just stop talking and let's
Start
go
fitting.
put it in.
Fully cast end tanks are a great upgrade over the plastic factory units, particularly under high boost applications, and you can see here just how much thicker the new intercooler is compared to the stock unit. Meanwhile, the pipes are going in up the front, and now we can actually install our upgraded fuel pump in the back. Next up, we need to remove the high pressure fuel pump up the front so we can modify it with the aftermarket plunger.
So this is the high pressure fuel pump from the front of the car. This is fed fuel from the pump that we just replaced and upgraded in the back of the car. And now we need to get more fuel. So what we've done is...
Replace the plunger inside the pump. Basically, it's bigger, which just means more fuel, which is what we need because we've got more boost now.
Now, if you're playing along at home, you actually don't need this whole unit. You actually just use the plunger that we showed you before. But we've actually have the joy of having a whole other unit. So we could do that, take this one out, drop that one in. The front mount's going in. Are we a thumbs up or a thumb down over there? We're thumbs up, which is awesome. So front mount goes on, then the intake goes on, and then in terms of the actual mechanical bolt-on stuff that is mechanical and did bolt on, then that is done. And then it's obviously just the Revo software for the engine and the engine software and the TCU.
Yeah, that's it. And then you will be driving down the road in no time, mate.
Excellent.
Having the time of your life.
With the intercooler and piping installed, now we can reassemble the front of the car, which on a Volkswagen is a pretty comprehensive job. Next up, our upgraded high pressure fuel pump is going in, and then we can start installing our intake components. Meanwhile, I'm upgrading the factory diverter valve with a GFB DVX blow-off valve. This is fully adjustable to allow a bias for full recirculation all the way through to the Bankstown Special Wooshkies. The front of the car is all coming back together, so now we're moving on to the upper engine mounts, which are accessed by taking weight off the engine with a jack and then sliding in our new units. Even if you've got a stock car, the DVX is a really simple upgrade if you're going for that blow-off valve sound on your Mark 7 Golf. We're taking a moment to embark on an important automotive rite of passage. We're installing the exhaust tips.
One thing that you do want to get right on your car is the placement of your exhaust tips. Now, if they're too far back, then you're possibly going to melt your bar or even catch fire. So one trick is to get something straight, like a can, and actually make sure that the tip angle is in line with the bumper. So this one needs to come out, this one needs to go out, that one needs to go in, and then the tips are actually following the line of the car, which gives you a mad OEM look, because we are trying to go for a bit of a sleeper vibe with this car. These will go black eventually. I'll paint them, we'll get black ones. But there it is. That's the back of it. That's looking freaking awesome. And then I think there's one more engine mount to do. No, one more, the gearbox mount. And then the intake. And then we're good. Front bar goes on. That's been a huge couple of days. Huge, but very exciting. So let's finish it off and get to it.
With the exhaust tips on and the clamps done up nice and tight, now the car can come down because we have got one more engine mount to do. And as it comes out, just check out the difference between the factory unit and the aftermarket one. With that in place, our engine mounts are done. Now I can reattach the steering column and we can install the new aftermarket carbon airbox and filter. On our intake side, we're installing a Pro Panel filter, carbon front scoop, carbon lid, and increased diameter turbo inlet hose. This completely replaces any restrictive components of the OEM system. Next up, it's time for a service with a new oil filter and new oil. Castrol Edge has been working with Volkswagen for 20 years and is the recommended oil for this car because it exceeds the required specifications, which is probably why there's a Castrol logo on Volkswagen oil caps. The oil is made for performance, and performance is exactly what it's going to get. Next up, we're bleeding the brakes, adding coolant, and finally a new battery. This Sentra unit is Australian made and a straight swap replacement for the factory unit. No more jump starts for me. With the battery jacket on, our intake system is going in. With the engine cover going on, our work here is done. We've just got to get the front bar back on the car, then all we need is the tune and we are ready to go and chop a supercar or an Evo or both. With it all back together, this is exactly what I wanted. To the untrained eye, this car appears to be completely stock. It's so tidy that you'd be hard-pressed to know just how modified this car really is. Even the engine bay looks super clean. It really is the ultimate Golf supercar sleeper. Now we've just got to make sure it actually starts.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit rattly on the doors.
Bonnet up. I can't open the bonnet while the door's closed, can I? There's a lot of aerolites in here, ladies and gentlemen.
Turn lock to lock. Yeah, lock to lock, and that'll get rid of that.
Nice.
And back. There you go.
Very
Oh,
good.
because now it knows that it's on a...
Now it knows where it is.
Amazing.
How to Volkswagen. Rev it up a bit. That's pretty much what's going to sound like stock.
I love how it gives you eco tips. Do not depress the accelerator when you're not moving.
Oh, cool story, bro.
Yeah.
It sounds like nice and quiet now. You put it into sports mode, it should get it.
Cool
Oh,
story,
really?
Hans.
Okay, so we go mode and then go...
Lace. Probably don't rev it too high. Yeah, not too high.
Oh, hello.
Shouts a bit more probably. There you go.
Sounds good.
So there it is after about 2 days of me slowing the boys down. The car is done, mechanically at least. It doesn't have the tune put on there yet. There's no software update at all. But everything that had to be bolted on has been bolted on, and it was absolutely Ramsey bolt-on.
Proper Michael bolt-on, like actually just fit. I'm a little bit in shock from our previous bolt-on experiences.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing. I just want to remind everybody that 10 years ago, we did the Golf GTI with some Altezza lights, some what do you call it, angel eye headlights.
But a Revo tune in it.
And a Revo tune as well, so I was really keen to use them again. And I want to do a massive up to Revo because I contacted them about this and they supplied absolutely everything. So I want to say a massive thank you to them. I also want to say a massive thank you, of course, to Hills Euro House for letting us use their space, even if they didn't know we were going to be using it.
And tools, because we didn't have half that stuff.
And of course, the boys, Jackson, thank you very much, man, and Paul, absolute legends. Thank you for allowing us to use your space for the day and sharing all of your wisdom. This is not the end, of course, because the car still needs to be tuned and fandangled, but it's been an amazing couple of days. I think I described it before. I was like a jumper pack on a dead battery, so I kind of got smarter as they got dumber. But all in all, it was an awesome weekend. 2 days, the car is done. So again, massive thanks to you. And I will be back tomorrow or the next day. We'll load all the software in, and then we go pump some supercars. It will pump a supercar, right?
It's going to pump an Evo too.
Yes, an Evo as well.
My pet ferret would not sleep, dude.
Wouldn't he?
He was just, gave him all the usual things, cheese, broccoli, mushrooms, and he was just like, I'm not sleeping.
Really? I didn't know ferrets ate cheese.
They do eat cheese.
Do they?
Yeah, just don't give him peanut butter, trust me.
Martin's ferret's so sick because he gave it cheese and chocolate. Exactly. I said that. Why would you do that? I was like, you don't feed a ferret.
I know,
Don't give that shit to animals.
he just wanted it, man. He wanted it. I don't know.
Shut off, bro.
It works.
It runs.
For all intents and purposes.
Smells.
You guys are
new.
legends. Absolute legends. Seriously, it's freaking awesome.